Well, I envy you guys know what you're doing. I had to go out and buy the wife a new computer today because hers has caused nothing but troubles.
Well, actually, this Lenovo's great. This ThinkPad, I wound up buying it at Fry's. It was a reconditioned, and I think it was like less than $200, and it and basically, had the camera, had everything in there, DVD drive, and what I did was I replaced the hard drive with a solid state drive, and then took out the 2 gig of memory because I had two 1 gig chips and put in two 2 gig chips. And boy, this thing just flies. It boots up in no time. It just runs great. So I really like solid state drives. Plus, I can pick it up and move it around when it's running. Don't have to worry about the hard drive crashing.
Yeah, that's really nice.
On those hard drives is really dropping. I mean, you can get a 500 gig solid state drive for about not even. I've seen them for $85 now.
Wow.
I got one of those, I don't know how many terabyte portable drives that I could just plug into and load stuff. I was tired of my laptop getting full all the time. But I think one of the problems going on, it may or may not have hit you, Brian, is all these apps that we have and programs. There's so many updates going on. I think from time to time there's conflicts, and I see software issues all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a driver conflict, and I keep Lenovo has some nice software that you can get that automatically checks all the drivers for their stuff, and it downloads any updates to the BIOS or the drivers that's come with the unit. So I just run that every now and then.
One, two.
Matter of fact, I've been seeing that there's been a video update. I wonder if that was to fix the problem that you guys had.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Video do weird things to Windows 10.
I see our fearless leader has arrived.
Fearless or fearful?
1, 2.
I know he's kind of quiet.
1, 2.
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah, I just had to unmute. Is my audio working now?
Yeah.
No.
All right.
No.
I'm sorry, guys. I just got home. Oh, jeez. It's been one of them days.
1, 2.
Let's see here.
1, 2.
Try to get everything all set up. You know,
1,
'cause
2.
I want
1,
to see
2.
the YouTube. I want to see the YouTube stuff too. Anyway.
Well, is there going to be something different on YouTube than we'll see on Zoom?
No. Zoom, you're an active participant in the meeting, and you get to talk and hang out and hear all of our really cool comments. And on YouTube, you get to hear all of it, but you don't get to be an active participant. You can put stuff in the chat, or you can just watch, or you can feed your dog,
Or if you're a guest, and you miss it.
Or you miss it. Here, let me get my new badge here. Hold on a second. Hold on, I got my mask is in the way. There we go. Anyways, get my new badge here. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I want to get my new badge, Jason.
Oh, are you wearing a badge? Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, my new badge, my ham radio TV badge. Oh wow! Anybody else you think anybody else wants to show up tonight? We got a whole 3 people watching on YouTube, and we have several folks hanging out with us here. 13, including myself on the old Zoom. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Pretty good. Okay, so we got Doug. Do we have Doug's here, right? Where's Doug?
ADD.
Doug's not here.
Here,
Huh?
fall is finally here.
Hall is finally here.
I think he said fall.
Fall, yeah. The weather turned cold.
Yeah, I was looking for Doug LDS over there in Dixon, and Frank is
1 2 1 2
Frank is had to go on a
1 2
quick
1 2.
quick trip. So, anyway, you guys want to give another minute and see if anybody shows
1
up?
2 1 2.
Give it till we're at 7:09 now. I guess we nothing. What's the harm in waiting till 7:10? You know.
Okay, got rid of the lows.
Yeah, I get it. I can push. I got my push to talk button now.
No.
Jason, said I had to use this. He's wearing his headphones, so he hears. Jason can hear me.
I can hear you. How's my audio? I've been messing with it. Am I muddy?
No, it sounds good. Doesn't sound as good as
Okay.
mine though. I'm sure. I sound very communication-ish.
Do you have to push the button down?
You're a DJ.
Yes, I do. I have to push the button down. This is a communications microphone. Here's the button. Yeah, you guys. I'm sorry. You see, we have 4 people watching. So for the four people watching and the what is it, 13, 14 people that are here hanging out with us, this is it. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Don.
Hey, evening.
It's 10 after 7. All right, enough goofing around. I was late. We waited for some folks, so
Don, where's the coffee?
let's go ahead and
No, I was just thinking about the coffee and the cookies. I wish there was a way I could send them through the Zoom tube, but I can't.
Yeah, we always appreciate that. It's so great of you when you do that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun.
I'm looking. Don, your camera is angled a little high. I see almost as much of the. Now, yeah, wait. Now it's too low. Right there. Well, yeah. I was seeing almost as much of the ceiling. But anyways, let's get going. Let's just let's open our Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll chat a little bit about business, a little bit of announcements, and then we'll take it from there. All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
Set. Go. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America,
America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. And thanks for the cool looking flag there. I almost called you Jeremy. Jason, sorry about that.
Starts with a J.
Yeah, but the flag thing is cool. One of these days, and I've never been able to do it. This has nothing to do with ham radio, but I've always wanted a cool flagpole, like 3 of them. I want to put the American flag, the state flag, and the Christian flag, in a cool area and have it automatic lights come on at night. But I bought ham radio parts instead. So one of these days, I'm going to do a cool flag thing.
The 4th flag will be a VVR flag.
The 4th flag will be the VVR
Yeah,
flag.
with our emblem and make a flag out of it.
That's cool. Yeah. I was teasing. We're talking to my son. I go, I just have to make sure. I think the rule is the American flag has to be taller than all the other ones. So I'll just make it like 2 inches taller. That way I won't go to flag jail. Don't go to flag jail. Don't go to flag jail. Who's?
It doesn't matter because I muted everyone. Kevin, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, I'll do that. I am unmuted.
Yeah, I got you. No problem.
You're right, mate. Jason, you're awesome. Well, anyways, I just said that because he paid me $1 earlier. Venmo me $1. Anyways, so here's the deal. I was looking for Doug's not here yet. Thought he might have something to say tonight, but he's always really helpful with sending out the emails and doing all that cool stuff for me. And I really appreciate that. And Brian KB0A sitting over there on the right hand side of my screen our treasurer with his lovely assistant that just jumped in there and said hello. And so, Brian, do you have anything business-ish that you would like to share with us tonight? And then I'll pass it on to a couple other guys. I think we have a couple other announcements.
Actually, no, we're doing okay. People are pretty good at responding to my renewal requests. And I'm
Cool.
trying to keep up on it. So we're doing okay. So yeah.
All right, well, that's cool. Well, you've been doing a great job. And by the way, I appreciate it. You guys, you know, the treasurer, I think that's the only office that's automatic 2 years, right? It's automatic because once you get somebody who does a good job, you never want to let them go. So Brian, welcome to the
president.
Yeah, welcome to the club for life, buddy. So thank you.
How does the renewal notice work? You reach out to us? Is that normal?
I send an email
Okay.
that says just a friendly reminder. Your membership expires, and if I don't hear back from you by the end of the month or the beginning of the next month, when I do the next ones, I will send a second notice to them and just a normal notice to others.
Okay, thank you.
Renew, I send them a thank you, and I include all the information that we include for new members, which are, you know, how to get onto the website and the club repeaters and stuff like that. So just to remind people that stuff is there.
Excellent, thank you. I wasn't sure how that works now.
Well,
Yeah.
it's on the roster too, right? It's on the roster.
On the roster, but I just pull it out of the database. I have a query that gives me reminders, which are all ones that are due by the end of the month, or expired or due by the end of the month, and then I just do a cut and paste on the emails. So yeah, it'd be nice if it was automated. Maybe one of these days I'll get around to automating it and have it send the emails out for me and all that, and personalize them and stuff like that. But you know, it's like it's one of those round two. It's
Cool. Let's see. I just have a couple of things. One of them is just a quick reminder. Actually, before I do that, before I forget about it, the Bryans, you guys help us out a lot with this, but we talked on the net about we're going to start doing a thing where if you don't answer your call 3 times in a row, you do not get kicked out as a member or anything crazy like that. We're just not going to call your name on the Tuesday night rolls. And then the next time you check in, boom, you're back on it for 3. Is that what we all agreed to, Brian's, when we were the last net we were talking? I think Bob Hawkins was net control that night. We did it.
yeah. Basically, if you miss 3 consecutive check-in weeks, net weeks, then you come off of the check-in roll call, and you'll have to check in at the end when they ask for members that were missed. You check in, and once you do that, you're back on the roll call again until you miss 3 more weeks.
Cool. Yeah. The whole purpose for that is just to, we're calling off a lot of names sometimes, and it's hopefully it encourages people to check in. And also what we were hoping it would do, we had a board of directors discussion a couple weeks ago. And I think part of that was we're going to try to use that time we gain to encourage more dialogue on the repeater, talking about, people's projects and their, more ham radio stuff, keeping it a little less just a big long roll call and more of a check in and, hey, what you doing? And, give us some more interaction for the members. So thanks, Brian. And just to remind everybody, what do you want to call it? We're not doing the Christmas dinner this year. With the state of way things are going, there's just no way. we've had several. I've been asked by a couple people, "Hey, was I in dialogue with anybody?" And the answer is yes. I mean, well, just to give you an example, one of them was Joe's Buffet here in town, and I asked him about his room, and originally he said absolutely. He says you guys are welcome, and says all I ask you to do is we close mid-afternoon. I'll ask you to put one of your people at the door so that, we don't just get people off the street just walking in, just make sure it's your folks. And he said, fine. And then things got tighter. He's like, well, we don't know how many people we can let in there. And then there was a point they couldn't let anybody in there. And then they came back, we gone back to, he can use his place, but it's unclear as to how many he can let. I mean, it was like a moving target for those people. And he's just one example. They're trying to accommodate their customers and their community, but they're being thrown these, for lack of a better statement, curveballs all the time. And in some cases, the target just gets moved and sometimes it gets removed. So unfortunately, we just decided we're just not going to do it because it just didn't seem feasible. So during the holiday time, we just threw it out there. If folks, you guys want to get together and we want to do a Mel's Diner, hey, we meet if they're letting us in the building anymore, we want to meet at Mel's Diner and get an ice cream or hamburger or milkshake and hang out. Let's do that. If it's 3 people, if it's 10 people, I mean, last time we did it, I think 10 or 12 people showed up, and most places can accommodate that. If we do that, great. But other than something that's casual and impromptu on the individual's part, we're not doing an actual organized club Christmas thing this year, which is a little disappointing because I really, really enjoy that. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to remind everybody is the last we were talking about this. We decided to Frank announced it due to once again to the COVID stuff. It's been difficult for us. As you can see, we have 13 people, 14. Oh, thank you, 14 and 4. So I don't know how many people are on our chat and are hanging in there with us on YouTube, but we typically have 25 to 35 participants in our actual club meetings. So, and the reason I'm saying that is that it's been difficult to communicate with everybody as to what they want to do. And anyway, so I'm going to quit talking about it and just say we postponed the elections till after the first of the year, after the holidays, give everybody a chance to think about if they want to nominate somebody for a position. You will have that opportunity to do so. The people that are holding the officers' positions and the board of directors positions, unless there's someone that I don't know about, please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is we've all agreed to hold our positions, and we'll do them again next year if the club wants us to. And by all means, if somebody wants to be a director or wants to have an opportunity to run for one of the positions, you will be allowed to make nominations, absolutely, and we will put them up and we will vote on them. It does not mean we're going to automatically just roll it over. I don't want anybody to ever think that, because if somebody wants to be the president and the majority wants him, that's okay. I'm okay with it. I will accept the results. I'll have no problem with that, and I'll still do what I can do to help. If you don't want to do that and you want me to hold on to it next year, that's okay too. We want to do what's right and what's appropriate for our club and our club members, because we appreciate all of you. We respect your opinions. We just needed some time to deal. So we're putting it off till the pick it up in the January meeting. So enough of that stuff.
Kevin?
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah,
I have one more item.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brian. I meant to say that first. Brian, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I don't know if you guys are aware, but we are an ARRL affiliated club. We have been for a long time. Recently, I applied for us to be a special services club. And a special services club is one that goes above and beyond for our community and for amateur radio. And that's what defines the SSC. We're leaders in the amateur radio communities who provide active training classes, publicity programs, and actively pursue technical projects and operating activities. So I submitted our application, and even though I didn't get an official notice, I noticed on the ARRL website for our club, it lists us as a special services club. So that just gives us, some extra little brownie points that we go a little bit beyond. And I felt what we were doing fit into that. And I went ahead and submitted the application, and it was approved. So there you go.
I think that is a good idea. And I think it is a kind of a testament to our members of our club that have taken it upon themselves to become active in and helping in our community. I mean, what comes to mind is the Sano, the cart. There's several of those of our members are part of their club, and we've participated with the radio, and that's been a great outreach. We're working on getting my brain is guys, I literally got in here right before we started, and my brain's still trying to get off the work day and get onto here. But anyways, we'll volunteer testing group, so we can eventually do some help people get licenses through the club, and that's one thing. And then we've also got a lot of great Elmers that have been putting up all kinds of different information and at our club when we had club meetings, at our club meetings on the video. And then Jason has been very, very active in recording all that for us and offering up the videos for repeat views on ham radio TV. So I really appreciate you doing that, Brian, because I think that our club members and participants deserve the opportunity to have that recognition. So I think it's a good idea. Was there somebody else? Don, was it Don?
Yeah. I had a couple things. One, the Christmas dinner. As I heard you talking, I just realized that over at the Green Valley Country Club, we have a big ballroom there, and when they put people in there, they spread them out. The tables are far apart, and they've been going slow and all that. And then just recently they announced where we normally have this big, huge buffet for Thanksgiving. What they're doing now is they're changing their procedure, and they're going to have each table served family style. So you have like a Lazy Susan with a bunch of stuff in there, and just the people in that little table are next to each other. And so everybody's kind of separated, and they're still able to pull this big event off. And so I was just thinking that I could ask, if you want me to, could we accommodate our radio club in that room and keep things separate enough to satisfy COVID and still, have our meal and do our thing? And it's possible. I'll ask if you want me to, although it's kind of at a late date now. Everything's been topsy-turvy with COVID. But if you want, I will ask.
I got no problem with you asking. The only thing I can say is that at this point between now and Christmas, I know my family and maybe and possibly others might already be committed, but could we keep it open to where that if they're willing to do it, could we go possibly between Christmas and New Year's, like after, in other words, literally wait for Christmas to happen and then the week between Christmas and New Year's, like typically, this year I won't have as many days off, but often I get more days off during that time, and people might have time. So if you know what, Don, check it out. Hey, somebody's got something turned on. I'm hearing it coming back through something.
I hear it too. I can't figure it out.
I'm pretty sure it's your fault though. I'm just gonna blame it on you.
Yeah,
Can I have another $1? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, this is Ed. Just for information, I know I read in the paper that they're talking about the possibility of going back to purple again.
Yeah,
And that would shut everything down.
I heard that too. I don't. You know what, guys? I don't really know what to say. I agree with what Ed said. I heard the same thing. I also heard two different things today. Whether they're accurate or not, who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. One of them is that there is some kind of court order, some kind of stay that says that whatever our governor said he was going to make us all do under this emergency thing, he can't do that yet because they're going to decide whether he had the authority to do it. And the word I got is they're trying to put it off for a period of time. I heard it was 2 weeks to do that, so he could go ahead, and he wanted to go ahead and have 2 weeks of his whatever he said we got to do. So who knows which way that's going. So to speak to what Ed said, yeah, it could change and we might not be able to do anything. Then on the other hand, I'm coming home and I'm listening to a Sacramento radio station, trying to listen to some, music for a change. And then the news came on, and that El Dorado County or Placer County, noon tomorrow, they're going back to the restricted stage. And I was just up there yesterday. We went to Apple Hill, and the Apple Hill, except for face mask and people staying a little further apart from each other, you wouldn't know there was a problem. All the restaurants were open, and they were doing a very good job of doing it what looked like a responsible way. Well, the news said the Placer County authorities, I don't know who, announced that they have no intention of enforcing any of these new rules, and to go about your business in the safest practices you can. And if you have a business, operate as best you can and do the best you can to accommodate your customers. So the target is huge and they're moving it. So we don't know. I don't know. So I'm gonna move on from this because I don't know the answers. Don, please, thank you for being willing to do that. Ed, you're right. We don't know what they're gonna do. I certainly don't.
The only caution I want to throw out is there's a lot of planning that goes into our Christmas party that is behind the scenes. So we're behind the curve, and if there's a few people that want to make it, they would like to see it happen, we're going to need those people to take the lead.
I could tell you right now, my wife, Dolores, I don't know how many of you guys know her, but she really supports what we're doing. I mean, I got my ham radio man cave. I get to do my president stuff, and she really likes, the last two Christmas parties we did, all the decorations and all that extra stuff and the prizes, that wasn't just me. That was Dolores, and Dawn helped, and Jan helped, and somebody, I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's two or three people put a lot of effort. And this year, before all this happened, my wife in particular was like, I want to do it at a different place, and I want to make it nicer because that's a special event for you guys. And she'd already bought, I gave her an allowance. She gets, 25 cents a week, and she saved it up, and she bought a bunch more stuff, and here we are, guys. So to speak to what Jason said, he's right. So I don't know what so Don, I appreciate you checking it out. If they'll let us do something, well, maybe we can. If they move the target to a point we can't do it, we just have to
I can
hang
always
out
go to the
on,
commissary and get a bunch of
I don't know,
MREs.
someplace.
Might
But let's look at something a little more more upbeat. Let's talk about some stuff. One thing, Brian, the professor, he has a fusion not a fission announcement, a fusion announcement. You see, you have to say it like that. Fusion announcement. Make your lips all weird. Fusion announcement. Okay. Oh, well, see, I said fusion announcement too many times and we lost a viewer. So go ahead. Hey, Brian, tell us about what's going on with that.
Alrighty, let's see if I can get in here and do my technical magic. I'm going to hit the mute button again.
I'm gonna leave my mute button off or on, whatever it gets audio, in case I want to say.
Okie dokie.
fusion
Can everybody see
again.
that? Nope, they can't see that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see it.
yeah.
It's not big enough.
That looks good, Brian.
That's hilarious.
Here we go. So there you go. The official frequency is being changed to 145.140. Notice it is an even number instead of an odd. If anybody pays attention to all that wonderful hoopla and stuff that the repeater organizations do in Northern and Southern California, up here in Northern California, all of our whole numbers, and say the stuff that doesn't end in the 12.5 kilohertz stuff, all are on a odd frequency. So like ours is 145.470. So look through there, and this is actually between 145 1300 and 145 1500. And on those two particular frequencies, the closest repeaters are anywhere between 45 to 50 miles away. So I don't think we're going to interfere with those two repeaters and being smack dab in between the two frequencies. Same setup. We're going to
I have a question.
Go for it.
I want to be sure I understood this. So you're saying the repeaters that are with approximately 45 to 50 miles away are on the frequencies adjacent to this new frequency.
Two.
So
Exactly.
we are in between something that's 50 miles away.
Exactly.
That's really good. That's
And
good.
since
Good going, dude.
Yeah, it's overcrowded on the 2-meter band, and we can thank the United States Air Force staff for deciding to smack a pave paw system right over there at Beale. Jason, it's your fault. Weird, I got nothing to do with it. So that will be set in. We'll set an email will be sent out regarding when the official switch happens. The PL tone is for analog. It's going to stay in AMS, which is the automatic mode select. So if you're on an analog, it'll work analog. And of course, if you're doing fusion on the fusion side, doesn't matter because it's still going to be 0000, be an open fusion repeater. And then after all this is stuff is done, hopefully we get to kick it up a hill pretty soon. And that's going to be in the hands of Kevin to handle. And that's it for me.
That's exciting news, man. Coming up, you guys, that's no small task figuring out where to put this repeater frequency and finding those and getting in between it. Good going, dude. You have to listen a lot, research a lot, and be patient a lot. That's good going. Very good.
I spent a full day up there on Mount Vaca, probably about a mile north of the of our repeater, just sitting there going through and seeing what's active frequency wise and stuff. And of course, went through every single thing I printed out a 10-page report. Basically, they had every single repeater within 120 miles of our repeater, and in a radius 120 miles. So I'm pretty much all sniffing all the way from pretty much all from almost Reno, and the equivalent distance north and south, looking for adjacent stuff. There was only one frequency that I found out of everything that would have been useful. That was an official accredited one. The problem is that it's right adjacent to 147.000. So we would have been interfering with them, and they would have been interfering with us. So obviously that was not a choice. So this was the best compromise that would work for everybody. So looking forward to it. And so we'll get the frequency changed on the box. I might even sneak over an even higher gain antenna, even though we're only about 25, 30 feet up in the ground. But hey, that extra 3 dB might actually help. It's the biggest one they make, the 410, which is a 17-foot dual bander by Comet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
That's what I use.
I don't want to go down a deep rabbit hole, but in just a yes or no answer, can you link a fusion repeater to other fusion repeaters in somewhat close proximity? Is that something that are you aware of? And the reason I say that is there's a guy by the name of Bobby Lee in Concord getting one. There's a guy in or has one, has it up. There's a guy in Walnut Creek getting one. There's possibly a guy in Clayton getting one, and a couple of them have been talking amongst themselves. They're just learning a lot for the most part as well. But their idea is they're going to somehow link all these together with the magic of the fusion, but they're going to be either on the same frequency or different frequencies, and there's a little confusion out there, amongst other people to understand how that's going to work unless you have some kind of voting system. But are you aware of a magic fusion linking system?
There is a system that is part of the DR2X repeater, and you can order it with or without it.
A LAN card.
The LAN card, exactly.
Do we have a LAN card?
Ours does not, because I went with the option of doing Wires X. So that's
it's a one or the other option.
It's a one or the other option, unfortunately. I can't do both. I wish it was. I hope the
Really?
DR3X supports dual. That'd be great. But currently with it, it's one or the other. But there's nothing saying that a local repeater can be RF remoted. Remember I was telling you how that thing's got 2 receivers on board? That you can set up a link to an actual Wires X radio. So you can actually put a, let's say the 100, the little basic mobile unit. You can put that into Wires X mode with an HRI 200 and link it to a DR2X. And as long as that DR2X is got the LAN card in it, it still is tied in through Wires X on the RF side. So that would probably be the workaround. Obviously don't have multiple boxes to play with, so I can't physically test it at this time.
I just had a possible radio epiphany, but a question. So if we had the fusion repeater up on a site that covered pretty dang good, could the UHF side of it run independent? It's a dumb old UHF repeater in analog mode, and could via the, I don't know, either through the internet or through RF, could those 2 repeaters, the UHF and VHF side, be connected together inside the radio? In other words, if the analog audio coming out of Fusion, could it go into the analog side of the 440 and vice versa?
I believe you cannot do that. One of the things I was playing with our concern if we were going to have successful internet, depending on where we were going to land, was are we going to be able to do a direct plug-in with a basic computer at the site, or if we were going to have to do that linking RF linking method on UHF, which also, that's also how you do remote control, is with on the UHF side. Now, unlike an analog radio where you have the DTMF tones and everybody and their grandmother can hear if they got a scanner listening in and then get in there and do their own modifications, the actual repeater you have to basically, how you pair a Bluetooth headset to a cell phone, you pair a radio to the repeater, and you can do up to five radios, and those 5 radios will be able to go in there. You'll be able to remote control some of the features on there, like the analog output capabilities, so we can actually link it to another repeater. So like, say it's net night, 8 o'clock, someone sits there and hits the magic button, the fusion repeater is linked in to our 145.470, and okay, it's over, punch the buttons again, disconnects that link.
Dude, that sounds so cool. We got to get together and talk. I had an idea that I think would be really cool. But we don't want to get into it tonight. That's really cool, man. That's very cool.
Well,
Hey,
good.
Kevin, real
So,
quick, if I can.
we were going to you next, man.
Yeah, I think there's a way, because I've read about it on the internet. People have linked using the front of that repeater because it has a mic output, and they've teased the COR out of that, and they've been able to hook up a All-Star to that, so you could link it to whatever with the Raspberry Pi. You wouldn't even need a radio. You just say, hey, this
cool.
node is this number, and then you link it, and then all of a sudden it's coming out on analog on another system a million miles away. So that's probably the better route, because it's just less RF in the area. You don't have
that actually kind of turns me on a little bit.
well,
Alrighty
I'm
then.
over here. You stay there.
No, radio wise, okay. Radio wise, that's a cool thing, because I have an idea. If we keep the 440 side of it for control and an actual 440 repeater, and we get a All-Star node hooked up to it to tie into the other stuff, man, that's like super cool. But we got to talk about that. Let's 3 get together and talk about that, because that's a technical. A couple things are a little technical challenge. One of them, I got to make darn sure the internet is available. If I have to run a wire on the ground and over to the other building and replace it every year, I will, because that is cool. So with that said, I can't take credit for this. The next section, Jason thought of this, and more power to him. And I'm not giving your dollar back. I'm keeping it. Mike there has been Mike. We kind of, and Jason. Actually, Jason, why don't you take over for a minute and talk about the our some pie.
I will. So, big shout out to Mike here, WG5EEK. He's been doing the Raspberry Pi stuff for quite a while. And, you know, I've been kind of watching from afar, and he's done amazing stuff with the All-Star and connecting it so many different ways digitally. And I feel like he's done such a good job over there with that. I'm just kind of like, I just have been watching and enjoying. But I think a lot of us should get a Raspberry Pi and try it. I mean, you know, if you got maybe $60, $100 laying around and you want to experiment. And so recently I had a thought, and it's along the lines of, I'm here in my garage. I have a big computer for all my crazy video stuff, and I'm dragging my computer in my house in the office, and I drag it out here to the garage, and it's just craziness. And one thing I really enjoy is working FT8. And, you know, an FT8, it's nothing heavy. A very simple computer can handle it. You know, I have a radio. It just runs. It's just a lot of fun collecting call signs, seeing how far you're getting out. And I can do it while cutting the grass, cooking, barbecuing, because you don't have to be kind of like pulled into a QSO. It's just like a little data collection center. Anyways, I'm kind of into it. Let me share my screen and turn this on. And make this here. Okay, so you're seeing this here, Amazon. I brought up Amazon. So this is what I just recently bought. It is a Canna Kit. So that is a company, Canna Kit. They're authorized resellers of the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is this cute little guy here. The idea of this kit is it kind of gives you everything you need, from a fan to a case to little heat sinks to a cable for a display and so on and so forth. And then that little SD card that we might have in GoPros or our cameras, that's going to be your hard drive where the operating system is and where you can do all that stuff. So, this cost $100 and it's a 4 gig and it's a 32-bit system, I believe. And my idea is I want to build something like this. Something in a box that I can move around, I can have in the shack, and just all around experimenting with it. A few other cool pictures here. Picture here in a wood box. And so I had an idea to possibly get this out to people, and maybe in December or January, we can give a little time to this. And if everybody gets a Raspberry Pi and wants help, we could have a build session right here online. We could do it in Zoom because we can't get together. And Mike knows so much. I think that would be a lot of fun if Mike wanted to walk us.
McKenna would like to talk.
That's not me. All right. So anyways, that's my current thought with the Raspberry Pi. I mean, of course, I'm not even touching on the fact you can do All-Star, which, I'll probably do. But the idea is, you get one of these and you don't have to go 4 gig. 4 gig, from what I understand, will do almost everything you want to do. But I want to kick this over to Mike. Mike, what are your thoughts on this? Because I really didn't run any of this by you, but I think you enjoy the Raspberry Pi, and at this point, you are Elmer for the Pi.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I think the Pi 4 is one of the, like the ones you want to go with for your shack, because it's the newest and latest and greatest. You don't want to buy something that's going to be outdated in a few years. I am running a Pi 3B for the All-Star node. I've actually got two radios hooked up to it now, and it's at like 33% use. That's super low. They're super, I guess, efficient is what I want to say. But a Pi 4, they're affordable. They're basically almost the same price as a 3B decked out. It'll be a great addition, and it actually is 64-bit now.
Oh,
we've got the Raspbian OS is 64-bit. They just released an official Ubuntu. They brought it into the fold, for the Pi 4. So you've got a lot of options for mainstream support. And some of that stuff, honestly, you go in, you click on a few buttons and say, hey, I want to do this with ham radio. There's actually a section, which is awesome, in Linux, and which is what the Raspberry Pi runs. It's like basically like the App Store for Linux and stuff, and there's a section for ham radio, and so you click on that and you scroll through and like, what do you want to do? You want to do All-Star? Click on that. You want to do FT8? You do that. You want to do APRS? You click on that, and it installs that stuff. Now you have to go through and figure out what you need to do to configure it. But if you're worried about, like, I don't know what to do on the Linux side, how to install software on it, it's kind of very intuitive on that part, because it's kind of built into it. It's built for hobbyists, so it's built for the tinkerers that we are. So it's pretty neat. I haven't set any of this stuff up, so when Jason gets his, I'm going to go over there, I guess, and help him figure it out. And then once we get that documented, we can kind of, like you said, have a build session online or whatever, and maybe just put some YouTube videos out there. Hey, here's how you set up your Raspberry Pi 4 for this mode or whatever. And I think that'll be fun. Yeah, I'm down with that.
I think one of the things I'd like to see is when you guys decide to go buy some Pi, if you decide to make it a little portable computer like Jason's talking about, or you want to hook it up to a radio or two like Mike did, something you need to consider. You can do a All-Star, because that's what we've been. Mike's got a dual All-Star node now, to show off. Anyways, set that thing up, and it's very cool actually. And we can help you modify your radios. Some radios don't need modification. Some radios just need a connector made for it, and we have the tools, and we've done it before. Some radios do need some minor modification. You probably heard us talking about it like endlessly on the radio, and sometimes here's like, oh yeah, we got a Max Track or a Kenwood or or a whatever, and we found the COR. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Well, you don't have to get a commercial radio. You can if you want to, and they're very, very cost effective. They're very robust, and if you're going to set up a radio to be an all-star node for you at your house, so you could be driving around or do whatever you're going to do with it, you can do that, and you can buy radios. And Mike, you can chime in on this, but isn't that radio that you and Will have recently purchased, isn't it about $100?
Yeah, so the version I got is sold by Amazon or on balfangtech.com. For the one I got, I wanted a tri-band just so I can have versatility. It was about $130. They have if you want to buy it from them, there's a dual band for about 120, but honestly, it's a rebrand of another radio that you can buy on the internet, and it's about 80 to 90 bucks. The only reason I went with the one that I wanted, because it's sold in the U.S. It's tweaked by U.S. people, has a warranty, so that's why I went with that. If there's something goes wrong with it, I don't have to, worry about where am I going to ship this thing to. I can just send it back to Amazon and get another one. But I didn't have to open the radio on this new one that I got. I literally took a Cat 5, Ethernet cable. I snipped one end off. I soldered it to a serial port connector, hooked it up to a rim light, plugged it into my Raspberry Pi, and that was pretty much it. I mean, I had to change one menu setting, but I didn't have to open the radio. So if you're worried about I don't know how to find this, this thing, the COR, which is what well, Kevin can explain it better. But basically, what happens is when you key the radio, it outputs a certain voltage or drops a certain voltage, either 5 volts or down to 0 volts, and allows it to hit a relay. You don't have to do that with this radio. You literally just change a menu setting, because it's built for hooking up 2 radios of the same type for crossband repeat, and they kind of made it easy for us if we want to use it for the All-Star. So they're pretty cost effective. If you're not comfortable opening up a radio, voiding a warranty on a new radio, or if you have an older radio, just I don't want to touch this thing, I don't want to mess it up. I mean, it's fun. I've been using it on the Wind system, so it's they rag chew all the time, and so far so good. So
hey, buddy.
Yep. The only disadvantage to using some of those,
video?
and we're going to do a video on it. We're going to do a Baofeng and a Yaesu and somebody
Did you
else
practice
shootout.
on the iPad?
HT. We're gonna see which HT we can
Go
blow up
practice on
first.
the iPad.
It's probably going to be mainly on the front end to see which radio's receiver pukes
You'll
first. We
get the
built a
background.
special test jig, and we're going to do that.
Go make a test
But
video.
I say that to say this.
And then you can think. Okay.
The Max Track that commercial radio that Mike has, that he's using for the node for the club, and my son uses in Texas, the front end on those is pretty good. You can get better, but the thing about it is Mike can be listening to somebody on VVR, and he could have his HT talking on another repeater, and it doesn't desense the radio and make it unusable. Whereas some of the import radios, you got to be careful about that, especially if your antennas are outside. So also too, you can do a radioless node. So if you don't want to hook it to a radio, and you literally want a communications mic like this, or more like this, with a DTMF pad on it, you can literally have your Raspberry Pi and a microphone, and you just buy some off-the-shelf little kits for between $2 and about $12. Depends on which one you want. You can make. I showed it at the club back before March. Matter of fact, Mike, radioless node, and we set it up. And we made a contact, and we don't have good internet there. We had to use a hotspot, but we did it, and you could do that at home. So you can be sitting there using your HF radio, talking and whatever you want, and then right there is your radioless node that's tied to the internet. And you can dial up Vacaville Radio Club, you could dial up the Wind system, you could dial up the East Coast network and talk to all those folks over there, and you don't even need a radio, except that device is getting you into a massive radio system. So don't think for a second that All Star and the internet isn't radio. It's all about radio. Just like Fusion connected equipment is all about radio. And one of these days, we are going to connect them together.
And you
it's
can even
gonna be
take
cool.
that radioless node and tie it to your phone hotspot, and then take that, put it in your car, and you can use one mic for the All Star and your other mic for local repeaters or simplex or whatever. I
Yep.
mean, it's pretty neat.
It is so cool. I have a crude one I built on a board that we can talk about later, and I did it intentionally on this board with stuff I got off of the internet. I mainly ordered the parts from Amazon, and because you need a little microphone preamp, I think I paid $3 or $4 for it.
And Brian's got something he's holding up to the camera.
Oh, Brian, go ahead. What you got? I can't tell.
He's muted.
Unmute. Is that like a do-it-yourself jellyfish kit or something? What is
This is a Kano, Kano. It is a Raspberry Pi kit. That's the battery, the actual computer itself, Raspberry Pi right there. That's the driver for this display. And there's a nice little spot here in the back for the keyboard it came with. And to give you an example of how easy this is to put together, Santa Claus brought this for my kid this last Christmas. He did it by himself.
What's he using it for?
Minecraft.
Awesome.
That's his primary. Yeah, for Minecraft, he's doing the basic coding that they do. They teach and stuff. And yeah, I've had one for a long time. This is an actual Raspberry Pi 2 revision B. Still going strong.
Cool.
Now let me let's pause for a second. Does anyone have any questions, or does this sound interesting to anyone here that's hanging out with us in Zoom? This is very much an open format, by the way.
Yeah.
It sounds very interesting to me. And
Okay.
maybe you can figure out what my problem is.
Okay, good.
I'm
very
you're
interested.
hanging out with us. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's dangerous. You put up with it.
Yeah, we're dangerous.
Yeah, I recently watched Mike in work, and he is quite the magic Mike. And
Ooh.
I think there's other people that are with you.
and I think I believe
on that
what
stuff.
I'm gonna mute my
Bruce is
mic
one
while I
there.
keep laughing.
I believe we don't. I believe this is something we can do via Zoom, just like this. I get we can't meet together, and that's a huge drag. But if we all want to spend just a little money, we're getting close to the holidays. We could shoot for like a July time frame. It gives us time to maybe get them, experiment, and we can have different questions. So these are just some ideas we're throwing out. Maybe like a virtual build on Saturday or whatever works for people.
I have a question, but show just raise your hand. How many of you guys? I got the whites. Everybody up here. How many of you guys have built or just bought a Raspberry Pi system? How many of you guys have done it?
Wow.
Wow. So Dave and Don and Chris, and I know Brian. I'm naming the guys that didn't. So Dave, Don, and Chris, and Jason. Does yours count? Because did you order something?
It hit my credit card this morning at 6 a.m. at work, but I don't own
Technically,
anything.
that counts.
We'll include Jason.
I don't have it in my hand.
So I'm getting Don's credit card number. So what do you guys want?
Oh, good. No, that's a good point. Okay, if we take how many meetings we missed, that would have been how much money in donuts and coffee. We could definitely do this.
Yeah, we could do it. We could work this out, and it won't hurt. It's not going to affect Don at all. So, anyways, that's a great idea, and the club has already authorized us to spend in the neighborhood of $1 million on All-Star parts. So, we haven't done it yet. So, and we want to build a robust Pi to interface with the system. And man, I'm telling you, if this idea works out that I'm thinking about with Brian and Mike before before Mike gets out of the Air Force and leaves us forever. And
well, that's why I need to do this, in the beginning of 2021.
Yeah, before it makes us all sad. Actually, what's really, really helpful is if Mike would be willing to set it up to when everybody gets the build done. And trust me when I say this, and I think Mike and Jason can vouch for it. When we get together to do ham radio days, our best intentions are we're going to get it completed and done in about 2 or 3 hours. Has that ever happened?
No.
No. So if we're going to do a Pi for a radio, then you need to pick your radio, and we need to get your radio either individually or collectively wired to hook to a basically a sound card is what it is. And we like to use the rim lights because the guy does a great job and they're robust and they have a nice connector, and they're like $49 for the one we use. Don't have to use that one, but we like it. So we get the radio ready, and then we can plug the sound card into it. And then if you want to check your wiring with your USB to a Pi, you could, we could always do that. But my reason I said that is now you've got your radio wired, and it can be tested on a Pi in a rim light that already works, because I have one and Mike's, we've all got something we can test it on, and that works. Okay, so the next step is now you buy the Pi, you build up whichever version you want, and we do the Zoom meeting, and then Mike can put up on a screen share and talk to us and say, okay, up on the screen, this is where we go in, and we start with an example. We're going to do simple USB settings, and then he can show you. And what we'll have to do is we'll have to have Mike take some downers or something, because the dude's so fast, and so his brain runs like way faster than mine. So we'll have to ask him slow down a little bit, and then go through it. And then if you have your Pi is its own computer, so it is a computer. So you plug in your little portable TV to the HDMI plug and your keyboard, and you can literally be sitting here on watching Mike on Zoom, share his screen, and setting up your Pi node all together. And the only way that works is the radio is prepped and the cable is connected, and you have your rim light or something like that that's ready to go. And oh, by the way, you got to have I learned this the hard way. I think Mike looked at me and went, you dummy. He didn't say dummy, but I know that's what he was thinking, because I forgot to get my node register when we first did it like 2 years ago or whatever it was. I forgot to actually get my node number registered. So you get all that stuff done. You have and that, by the way, it's all free. Just go online and do it. Matter of fact, there's something too, Mike. We probably ought to go through that and show everybody these are the things you need to do before you even start building your radio. You want all this junk done, registered, and have your secret squirrel number, your node number, and all written down. That way, when we get to the portion of we're sitting here and the radio's working, the cable's done, and the USB adapter is done, and we have a little piece of paper with all our registration, you can actually set it up and make it work. And I need to ask Mike a question. Yep. Hasn't All-Star, those guys are pretty fast now. If you got your node number and you're registered, yeah, I mean, you could like set it up, and within 15, 20 minutes, they got you online.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. And you gotta don't forget too, you have to be able to open up ports on your router, or nothing will work. So if you don't have access to your router, you need to figure that out too, because not all routers are the same. We figured that out at Kevin's. His is an older model Xfinity Comcast router, and the settings on it were a little bit different than mine. We got it to work, no problem. It's just mine will look different than yours, and yours will look different than Chris's, and different than Don's.
AT&T is different yet.
So if you go to, there's a website called Port Forward or portforwarding.com. It'll tell you how to do it on any model router. So we'll have to give you the ports. Mainly the port. There's only 1 or 2 ports you really have to open if you want to use it, outside your network. But it's.
Well, I think it's a great idea, man. So we'll talk it up between now and January, and maybe we can do this January, February, and I'm up for the actual build night and talking back and forth on Zoom. It doesn't have to be the second Thursday. Mm-hmm. We don't have to wait an entire month to do it. I mean, if we decide we want to do it, whenever, because it's only going to be the folks that are interested in doing it anyways.
Well, we can have a build night on a Saturday or Saturday afternoon or something.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. As long as I'm here at my place and we got enough room, if you're comfortable, you can come over and we can set up tables up and it's not going to be like there's 27 people. It might be more like somewhere between 3 and 5 people, doing it. And you guys can have your own spot and you can do it. And if we want to do the prep stuff, like Mike was saying, here's the list of port forwarding. Here's what you got to do. And then you get the cart before the horse, Kevin. Get registered with All-Star, because I think you guys would really enjoy it, especially you guys that have like to go on trips and get in your motor home and you want to go somewhere. You grab your All-Star node, boom, you're connected into Vacaville Radio Club.
And I also want to say, you might not want to do All-Star right now. You might just want to explore the idea of a computer in the shack, a fun little computer under $100, and because that's actually the first thing I'm going to put together. Is I'm going to put together more of a computer than a All-Star. I'll probably eventually get to the All-Star, but I'm just throwing that out there. So don't think we're only going to do this. I plan to plant some seeds with Mike and allow him to understand what I want to do, which will, broaden everyone's education from Mike.
Hey, before COVID hit, our production company, we have a bunch of digital consoles out there that normally require we were using laptops for laptops and the screens, and sometimes we had an extension screen so we could see a much bigger picture of what we were doing. We were looking into and now with the Pi 4 with the extra horsepower, you get something like that and it'll handle the operating system. I'm pretty sure it will. We were going to take the Pis and use those with HDMI output to like a 24-inch screen, and we were just going to Velcro that Pi to the back of the console and plug it in and just leave it.
Yeah. Now, Don, you have a clock. You have a ham radio clock that's powered by a Pi, right?
It may be. I don't know how it's powered.
It is.
It's really incredible, all the functions that on it.
Yeah, that is a turnkey kit, you buy. But I know another guy by the name of Doug. He has the same clock that you do, and what's behind there is a Raspberry Pi someone, pre-built, got it running. So that could even be an option to build.
Ham radio, really cool.
Yeah.
Is it? Anybody else got anything they just want to chat about, just because? That's kind of what we're doing tonight.
Actually, I'm using a Raspberry Pi as a music server.
Wow.
Oh, you know who did that too? I think I don't know where he's at tonight, but Bruce, I think he did that. I think he got a couple of them and set them up in his house for servers, and he put music. Can you put video on them too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure he did that then.
No, it is the.
You don't really put the video or the audio on them. You have them on a network drive, and you just use that to serve it. out to
Okay.
devices. So I use it to serve it to Alexa, to Amazon. units.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Sorry,
She's
I was
not
waiting
sure.
for that.
I used her name in vain.
He plugged Alexa in the ham radio.
From what I understand, these little pies are quite an addiction. It's rare to meet someone with only one. Someone once called them the tattoos of the mind. They say tattoos are addicting. But anyways, 4. Mike is holding up 4 fingers.
I don't know
I
anything.
And I have some Arduinos, and
There you go.
I even have a Beetlebone Black.
Oh yeah,
Beaglebone Black.
That's what they used originally when they went from All Star to Hand VoIP. They were using that. So
Yeah, because that was the only ones that had enough power. Now the pies have enough power.
yeah, I've got another one that's a Rock 64 that I got for $10 on Amazon. Normally they go for 40, but they were selling them in this kit because some company was just dumping them off, and it's really cool. It's made in California, and it's just fun. I use that to, believe it or not, since my daughter's working or doing school from home, she has to use her iPad and stuff for school. Well, she was kind of cheating and looking at YouTube and whatever, so I installed this thing called AdGuard. I tried Pi-hole at first, but it wasn't working very well. But with the AdGuard, it's cool because they have these little sliders on a web interface. You like turn off YouTube, turn off this, turn off that. And then she was like, my YouTube's not working. I was like, well, that's weird. Why don't you do your schoolwork?
Oh boy.
So it's basically a filter before it gets to her iPad.
Exactly. And you can use, just like you said, they have ad filters that you can download and customize. But I just use it to just turn off, services for her specific iPad and her phone and stuff. So because when she's on Wi-Fi, you just point the DNS to the IP address of that device, and then everything goes through that. And so, yep, turn this off, turn this off, turn that off. So.
Yeah, so
I'm glad you're not my dad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I just think
that's too smart.
don't mess with IT dads. They
Yeah.
know everything.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. It's Thanksgiving. Why don't we have, instead of a raspberry pie, why don't we have a pumpkin pie?
Hey man, we went to Apple Hill and got an apple pie.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, one more thing. You were asking about Mars, and if we want to get something going with Mars, how many of you guys would want to tour the Mars station at Travis?
And I'd like to bring my camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem. They have incredible antenna farm there. The disc cones and a couple of rhombics, one facing towards Alaska, was it Elmendorf, and then another one facing towards the East Coast. And there's all kinds of great stuff there. It's and they have 4 Harris transceivers with 500-watt amplifiers on each, and remotes. So they're sitting in a room, and they have a remote that you control it. Each one has you have a desk and a station. Pretty cool stuff they have there.
That would be Saturday and Sunday, I'm guessing.
Saturday or a Sunday, yeah.
Okay.
So if we get to, are those radios ham frequency compatible, and are we allowed to operate them on ham frequencies?
Yeah, we actually have a Mars station license and a ham station license there.
Oh wow! So we could use the rhombic and really kick butt in some direction.
Yeah. I mean, my pass is good for 30 days, so I still have a few weeks. If anybody wants to go down there, I'll have to clear it with our commander, but I bet you I could take you down there. We could take a peek.
That's cool.
So I have a crazy idea, and we got plenty of time to talk about this more. January 30th and 31st, really we could just make it a one-dayer. January 30th, 2021 is Winter Field Day. What if we get it worked out to where our club can go out there and operate?
I know they were operating during the field day. We were operating over at Kevin's house. They were operating the station over at field day.
Right, I remember.
Kevin, the other Kevin, who's now over in Missouri. I forgot his last name. Starts with a B. But he was running the station during field day there.
Oh, did he move away?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
He got transferred to St. Louis to what's the base there, Mike?
You would
Minot.
No,
No.
that's it's
Whiteman.
yeah, Whiteman. Yeah, with the
Whiteman.
the B2s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, he
So,
was such a
yeah,
smart young man.
He was very intelligent.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just throwing that out there because I always like to do something for Winter Field Day, and that would be a lot of fun, And it's fun to get on the air when there's other traffic too.
I'll ask.
Yeah, end of January, last weekend of January. Just
I'm gonna go grab something.
spitball that.
Hey, just to circle back to the Raspberry Pi, Greg, who's a brand new like club member, probably one of our newest. He built a APRS digit repeater at his house with either with a Pi or that Rock 64 board. So I mean, like, if you want to do anything, like you could do it, and it's pretty cool. So he built it himself. He looked up some YouTube stuff and just did it. So don't be intimidated. Like it's okay to to fail because you learn from something. But he did it all himself, and it's working. And I know he's captured some of Jason's APRS stuff on his new FTM 400, so in his Jeep. So
Yeah.
it's pretty neat.
Hey, just an aside, I noticed that Art Miller's on this. We can't see him, and he's not talking. But Art, if you're hearing us or you want to talk, I wish you well, and I hope you're feeling a whole lot better. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, I'm feeling better. I'm walking. I can drive. Things are getting better. I just have to do my daily exercise stuff. And hopefully I'll be back to normal here in a couple months.
Well, good. We missed you, Art. Glad you're coming along. Are you at home now?
Yes, I'm at home. I'm actually up at Lake Berryessa at home, and I now hopefully can get on the Tuesday night net now that I'm no longer in the deep dark hole there in Fairfield.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, glad you're back. Glad you're feeling better. We all missed you.
Absolutely.
Yep. I miss being out and about.
I can believe it.
If you need any help with your antenna stuff up there, getting something going, let us know, man.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
So I got a little project I made here. So another little thing we talked about. We wanted to, we have the all our bow fangs or bow thang or whatever it is. So Jason and I were sitting around about a week or two ago going, man, we ought to be able to like test these HTs and figure out which one's got, can handle the most decents, before it pukes. I'm like, man, how can we do that? So we were monkeying around with it, and we did a little crude test at his house with his Yaesu. He just walked off screen, but maybe Mike remembers the number. What's his? It's a FT4 or
FT like 4X, I think, or something.
FT, yeah.
The new Baofeng killer is what he did.
Jason has the Baofeng killer, and it's pretty cool little radio. So we're trying to think, man, what can we do to figure out? Because I've been at several events where ham radio guy, volunteer guy was standing here, and the other guy was here. Even if he was social distancing at 6 or 8 or 10, 12 feet, they're at the same post, right? Well, guy keys his radio and he's talking on the repeater, and the other guy's like, I can't hear you. Well, his radio just vomited in his pocket. Thing can't so decent. Like, man, that's kind of interesting. And then I was noticing I fell for it too. I should know better. I can't remember where we were at, but we're standing somewhere. I'm like, my radio's not working. It's like, this is just not. Oh, the car behind me was transmitting and just destroying my radio. And then we I went to a cart event, and they happened to be meeting at the I think it was Talina School, and we were programming some radios and stuff. And I get out of my van, and one person was saying, I could hear them fine. And then the other person's like, well, no, I can't. When you guys talk, I can't hear them. And it took me a minute, and I realized, oh, Baofeng, Baofeng, Yesu, Baofeng, Yesu, Baofeng, and the nicer radios that were just a little bit apart, modest distance, 25, 30 feet, they're working fine. It was fine. They were all using like 1 watt, 2 watts, something like that. And then when I pushed the button on my mobile, pretty much all of them lost their mind, except for the I think it was Bob's radio still worked. So Jason and I were thinking, well, how can we do that? What can we come up with? So we came up with this. We made this little device. I took a little piece of copper clad, PC board, just a junk you get off the internet. And I cut it. I put 3 BNC connectors, and then I looked up the formula, and I put the resistors in here so that it's a 3-way divider. So this one here is the center one, and this is an input. This is an input. This is an output. It's a combiner. It's a 50 ohm combiner, and it loses. I'm surprised how well it came out. I made stuff out of my junk box. The formula said use 16.33 ohm resistors, and then you test it with little 50 ohm dummy loads, which I have those, and you'll have 6 dB of loss between them. So I put them on my little checker, and you guys have seen it. And we play with that. Unbelievable. It was like 5.8, 5.9. It was really close. And I used 2 33 ohm resistors out of my junk box. So I had 6 of them, and it came really close. So then what I did is I found this nice little BNC 90, and then I got my little adapter that goes from BNC to SMA. So I unscrewed my Baofeng antenna. I screwed this into it, and then I hooked it up. And I have 2 signal generators. I put one into here, and I put one into here. Well, I set one generator something really low, like you're listening to your repeater, and it's like, I don't want to the numbers. Let's say it's like a S5. Okay, S9 is S9 is actually 5 on the UHF VHF is 5 microvolts on. It's not 50 like on HF, but here it's 5 S9. So I put it less than that, put like half, and then I took the other signal generator and I set it 600 kilohertz away on the 2 meter band. I did 146.000. Anybody know why I set it at 600 kilohertz away? 146.6. Anybody know why? Ed does.
Offset. Standard
Yeah.
offset.
Exactly. So when you're standing next to your buddy, you guys are out there at Merriman on Main or something with your Baofangs or whatever thing you got, and they're using the repeater, and you're 600 kilohertz away, and you can't hear anything they're saying when he talks. I go, well, that's a common thing. So I sat it on there, and then I started taking the other signal generator, and I started turning it up, and I watched on my little receiver. I could hear it through the speaker getting worse and worse and worse. And then I hooked up, and I'll show you guys later, not tonight, but at a future date. I hooked up my Synad machine. It's a signal to noise and distortion meter. And you look up in the book, because all your radios have it, and they usually have what's called a 12 dB Synad. You turn the signal down to your Synad meter, it says 12, and that's where they give the numbers and stuff. So I set just because I felt like it. I set it at 12, and then I set it at 20, because 20 is super, super strong. And I started monkeying with it, and I was a little surprised of how good they were, but man, when they crash hard. I had to clean up Baofeng vomit off our bench. It was just they crash hard. And then I got to thinking, well, man, is that meaningful at all? So I unhooked it, and I hooked it to my Alinco mobile that I've brought to the club. I've had it on the TV. Hooked it up, just way better. I mean, I had to really crank on it. And I don't have any. I didn't do a chart, but I'm going to do a chart. I really cranked on it. So I just thought that was interesting, and I was just curious if anybody else is curious about it, because what we can do is get on the Zoom and sometime and we can bring our and we can have our Baofangs. We go, okay, what model you have, and we'll try and have a couple different. I have two versions of a Baofeng. I have the yellow one and the whatever one, the UV5R XYZ, whatever that thing is. I have that, and then I have a Yaesu, which it's difficult because their connector is funky. Then Jason has the FT4X, and if somebody else has a radio, they don't mind us blowing up. Actually, we don't blow up anything. It's all the signals are so low. They're like we're talking like the strongest signal I even put into it was minus 20 dBm, which is nothing. So it was fun.
I have the radio here.
Oh, you did?
Right here.
Oh, you have the UV5RV. Go make yourself number one on the screen.
I think I am. No?
No, you're not on Zoom.
I did a
What kind of video guy are you?
I did a spotlight video. There we go.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, now he can see. So the radio on the screen that's on the right side of the screen, that's the Baofeng that I have. And
yeah.
And then the other radio is the newer Yaesu. And we did Jason and I did just a real simple test. We actually used the repeater. We were listening to a conversation, and then we used another radio, HT, and to see how that thing desensed, and we compared it to the Baofeng. That thing did way better. Way better.
And if you're looking for, a little radio, this is a 1 watt speaker. If you look at some specs, it's really hard to find a 1 watt radio speaker. This thing is really cool. It's about $80 tax to your door kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
No digital, just 2 meter, 70 centimeter.
You proved you get what you pay for.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's true. It is. Well, you know what's really surprising is when I hooked this little Gigi Magic thing up. It's 6 dB down. So if my generator says minus 100, it's really minus 106, which is even less. And I looked over at the screen. I'm like, holy cow! These little HTs were receiving signals quite good at like minus 110, minus 115. I mean, it was getting down there, and even down, to down into the 0.1, 0.2 microvolt range, which is just that's flea power. And I was like, man, that's really good. And then you put an adjacent signal on it next to it, it just goes away. it disappears. So if you're out using it and there's no other ham radios around you, within 600 kilohertz or give or take a little bit, I did it in 10 kilohertz steps. I went up 10 kilohertz steps, so 100 to 100 kilohertz, and then I went 100, 200, 300, up to 600. And man, below 100 kilohertz, if you happen to be on your radio and some dude pulls up and he's on the other repeater that's only 25 to 30 kilohertz away from you, and he's in his mobile, and you got your little get what you pay for radio, you're not going to hear the guy that's talking to you if you're too close to your friend's car. So I thought that was I thought that was interesting, and I thought it was very interesting how sensitive they are, yet how the adjacent frequency rejection is just not that good. So you really do get what you pay for. By the way, my battery case is falling apart on one of my
What time are you going to bed?
It's just disintegrating.
You're going to bed at
Anyways.
8:30?
Just thought you guys might be interested. If you're not, you can turn me off.
Do you want to wear a hat?
Anybody else?
Go find a hat to wear because your hair's a little crazy.
Please don't talk all at one time. It's confusing. Jason?
Oh, my kid's in the shack. Come say hi.
It's okay.
Hi.
She
Hi.
informed me when I came home she has a video project to do. And I said, "Oh, I know something about video."
Wait. Who just snuck into the video? Who just
That's
snuck
Nick.
in? That's
Anthony
Nick.
PAL down on the corner.
Nick from Northwest Ham Shack snuck in. You know, that's what happens when you just give out your door code. You know, people just walk in. Cool, man. How'd you guys do tonight?
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
I need to take this phone call. I'm going to mute. I'll be right back.
Nick, yeah, sorry, dude, I couldn't be there. I was trying to moderate in the background on some stuff.
Oh, no problem at all. No, it worked out. My stream last week, there were some audio problems, and they were all my fault. Believe it or not. But no, it was good. How was the meeting tonight? I'm sorry that I'm.
This is going really well. We were talking about all sorts of things. You know, like the fusion repeater is going up. It's going to be a new frequency pair. You know, we've got people interested in potentially buying some Raspberry Pis and building some All-Star nodes, and just all sorts of fun stuff. So.
Where's that repeater residing right now?
The fusion repeater is at Kevin's house.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's in my back pocket.
Yep.
All right, 5 minutes. Okay, get ready.
He's sitting
Get
on it
yourself
right
ready.
now.
Get your script ready.
Sitting on it right now.
Hatching
Actually,
it.
we're hoping to relocate it, and I'm really hoping my UHF VHF idea, that thing will do it, along with that All-Star connection. Because man, it's really exciting to get to do that. I hope we do. I hope we get to do it.
Well, yeah, let's pop this baby out. It's been in there for a while.
Yeah, it's not, when you're doing your beta testing and just figuring junk out with the repeater at somebody's house. You guys up for a minute or two of trivia about our Vacaville Radio Club repeater? Our Vacaville Radio Club repeater originated in Fairfield, over off of San Jose Court, at Lyle's house, WD6BUS. Super nice guy. If you ever got to meet Lyle, I don't know anybody that didn't like Lyle. Guy was awesome. And the same person that owns the repeater now was involved back then, and it was on Lyle's Roan BX series tower. He had the HD BX 50 something with a pole on top of it. And my cousin and I, his name is Tim. I affectionately call him Timbotronics. So we there was a problem with the antenna. So at that point in time, I wasn't quite as spherically challenged as I am now. And my cousin was smaller than I. So we climbed up to the 58 to 60 foot level and stood on together. Both of us were on top of the tower, standing on the rotor plate, holding on to the 1 and 2 inch double thick, whatever it is, pipe, 6 out of the top. And we couldn't reach the Vacaville Radio Club repeater antenna to repair it. So my cousin looks at me and says, "If you hold on to me, I will climb up there and undo the bolts." So Timbo climbed up and stood on my shoulders, and I'm not making this up. We were both safetied. I was safetied to the top of the tower, and I was safetied to the pole, and he was safetied also in 2 places, and he stood on my shoulders. And I lifted him up, and he pulled the antenna down and we repaired it and we put it back up. And that was, so it was approximately, so that's about 60 feet. I think it was 70 feet up in the air is where the antenna was. So we fixed that one, and that was on a GE repeater that was in Lyle's backyard in his patio about 15 feet from his barbecue. So that's where this repeater originated. It was in Fairfield at somebody's house. And then at some point, I don't remember the dates because I just don't know. We got access to and permission to go on Butcher Hill. Butcher Hill's that hill when you're going into Vacaville, so on the right hand side, and you kind of look up at the top. You still might be able to see some stuff. That's where KUIC main transmitter used to be. It was in that room, and across the floor. Guess what? That's where the Vacaville Radio Club repeater resided for a long, long time. And then after that, somebody acquired a much nicer site on Mount Vaca and put a nice tower up, and that's where it resides now. So, with that said, a lot of cool stuff started out in somebody's backyard and made its way to coolness. So I think Brian's project, although it's taken a little time, and by the way, the time it took Brian to get that repeater purchased, the duplexers, which the guy got in a rocket ship or something and flew down south and got them and came back within 24 hours. It was unbelievable. He picked that up and a bunch of parts for me and some other guys. He was really nice to do that. Came back with all the stuff, and then we got together, and about a couple weeks after that, we repaired the duplexers, put them together, got this thing up. All of that's taken less time than the repeater that was tested in Fairfield doing its beta testing on on our frequency, the 145470. It was there for years. We used it every day. It was great. We used to call it Lyle's repeater because it was in his backyard. Yeah, but it was the club repeater. And then we got the club, and then there's another UHF repeater on top of the hill. It used to be called the KA6CHJ, and Paul Hammer owned it, and it's on top of Cement Hill. And that repeater got turned over to K6SOL. Do you know who that is, Don? Yeah, Don knows who that is. So it got turned over to K6SOL. That repeater was been up there for almost 30 years. And the boards that are installed in that repeater and the original transmit antenna, my cousin and I, we built the board, we installed it, we put it in, and he climbed up the tower, and when I was doing the board, he repaired the antenna. And that UHF system was in operation for, holy cow, 20 years, 25 years, until that repeater blew up, and it gave us problems. So now we, through the county, the volunteer program that Don and I belong to, I put up another repeater on the same frequency so they could keep it going. And right now we're going to try to actually have a really good idea that make that thing kick some serious, So that's hopefully going to happen in the near future. So
Hey, Kevin,
all of our stuff started in the backyard. Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
where's SOL located right now?
On Cement Hill.
It's still up on Cement Hill.
Yeah, it's just on a compromised antenna. I got permission from the county radio. I don't know if he's a manager, director, but he's the head dude. Super nice guy, and he said we could use the extra coaxes that are up there. It's hardline actually, and there used to be. And this is what happened. There used to be a UHF receive antenna on top of the tower. Like we're talking 150 feet up in the air or something. It was high. Yeah. And that came down on a piece of hardline, and it went into a, matter of fact, I literally have it in my shop because we're trying to bring it back to life. It's can't remember the brand name, but it's one of the expensive commercial ones that got abandoned. Anyways, that wire came down in and went into an input and there was 4 or 5 isolated outputs, and one of them. Pardon me.
Was it Andrew's hardline?
No. It starts. Hardline could have been, but the receive the receive, no, not a combiner, but this receive amplifier or distribution unit, that plugged into it, and then it went from there. A couple of them went over to the commercial stuff, and they had their super cool cans and all that bizwax, and then there was a port on it, and they said we could use it, so we plugged into that receive, went over to our set of cans. We were on the top receive antenna for years, and then our transmit antenna was lower. It was like probably at 50 to 60 feet and an omnidirectional. And dude, you could get into that repeater all over the place with an HT. It was beautiful, just beautiful. But all that stuff got taken apart, and everything got moved, and all the big stuff got moved out, and they left some stuff, and we were given permission to use what's left on that antenna system, which is easier said than done. So we're working on that, and so that's kind of the history of that stuff. Everything started in somebody's backyard, almost.
Hey, Kevin,
literally.
Kevin, did you see that video that Jason posted in Discord? It was like a really cool vintage video where it showed like all these different repeaters that may or may not exist anymore, with people going up and maintaining them. There was a lot of really cool history about it. Some tongue-in-cheek humor, which was very, very. I love that part. Like hey, we love our commercial Motorola radio, and then it just smoked. And then they hold up a picture of like a GE symbol going GE. Like, have you seen that video? And if you have, did you know any of those people in there?
I have not seen that video, but I can tell you another true story. I'll make it real quick. We were, you guys don't know him. His name was Dar Thompson, K6USW. Anybody know him? Did anybody know him? Dar K6USW. Dar K6USW used to be the head, the senior technician for Solano County Communications. Then he became the director of communications. Super nice guy. He was very, 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 very good to me and to many other hams in the area, and granted us access to places that we never would have had if it wasn't for Dar, because he was a great asset to ham radio. And he oh geez, you guys wish they'd leave me alone. Anyways,
that was me. Sorry.
That was you.
That's
no,
the link.
I thought it was my kids again.
Oh, I lost my train.
Now I lost my train of thought.
I just put the link everywhere.
I was going to tell you what Dar did, because he was a super nice guy, K6USW. Anyways, he was a great ham, and he was the reason we got to have stuff up on Cement Hill. He was the reason we got to have stuff. Oh, now up on Mount Vaca. That reminds me. I won't tell you which repeater it is, because I don't want to get any people that might know upset. But about 25 years ago, not 20 years ago, my cousin and I, he was a comm guy, and like many of you know, I'm a audio visual electronics guy by day and a wannabe radio guy at night. So we get a phone call from Dar, and he says, "Hey, are you guys willing to go up to Mount Vaca and go up to the site and fix that repeater?" And I said, "Sure." And I go, "What's wrong with it?" And he goes, and this is what Mike was saying. He goes, "Well," he goes, "it's got the really cool, the 100 and something, or I can't think it was. I think it was a Motorola output module." And he goes, "You know the ones that get really hot?" I go, "Yeah, the ones that get really hot and the solder kind of melts or cracks and it quits working." He goes, "Yeah, that one." He goes, "You guys willing to go up there and take it apart and refloat all that stuff and put it back together?" We said, "Sure." So he goes with us. We drive up there. We take this silly thing apart. And like I said, it took more than an hour. It took hours. We finally get this thing back together, hook it up, check it. It's working. We're driving down the mountain, and we hear the people, the control operators for the repeater going, "Man, this thing's kicking rear. Wow, you guys are pegging our needle," because it was the output amplifier that got fixed, and the receiver was fine. So we get it fixed. Well, man, I don't know what we did, but man, you guys did a great. Yeah, well, great. They had no idea who fixed it. They had no idea that we did it. And they were just they were patting each other on the back as we're driving down the hill laughing, going, because the big boss that it's a super nice guy and didn't get on the radio and tell anybody anything. He just did it on the on the lowdown. Says, hey, these guys, they're not capable and we're not taking them up. He goes, will you go? He took us up there. Super. I wish you guys could have met Dar. Dar was one of those guys. I wish you could have met Dar. I wish you could have met Lyle. And they were just nice guys. And there was several of these dudes that just kind of took me under their wing and introduced me to a lot of people. So I don't have the information and the access I have today on my own. Not even close. It was because the Elmers that helped me, they're the ones that did it. So Mike is right. There's a bunch of people from 20, 25, 30 years ago that started all this stuff for us. Made it possible to get into these places. Anyways, little trivia. Most stuff started in the backyard. Most stuff's made out of wooden spoons and old Motorola and GE parts. Because they're free.
Well, I'm all about Elmering in the hobby and creating videos, and even though YouTube might replace a lot of Elmers in the future, you still need someone smart to make these videos.
Oh, you know what? I don't want to leave a guy out. Anybody remember Alan McCarthy? You guys know me. Okay. Alan McCarthy, super nice guy. And he was also very good to me and friends with a lot of people. And he used to be, a long time ago, he was the chief engineer for KUIC, hence the connection between amateur radio and the repeater making it to the KUIC building. I think he had something to do with it. Anyways, he passed away several years ago, but Alan was a great dude too. He was also a CW fanatic. I mean, this guy was Mr. CW, and he actually taught. I let my license expire. Really dumb. I shouldn't have done it back in the late 80s, like right around 1990, somewhere around there. I'm like, man, I shouldn't have done that. So I went and took the no code test. I told you guys that, got that. Then Alan says, hey, come on down. Do any of you remember the old county building? It was 600 Texas Street with the tax collector and the auditor and all that. It's a big grassy field now. That was the original building, and it had a basement. And the basement was where a bunch of the comm stuff used to be, and where what Don does now, the OES stuff, was in the basement. Well, anyways, they gave us access to the basement. Can you believe that? And Alan taught a CW class down there because I didn't want to be a node code tech. I wanted to be a coded tech. So I went down there and I and took Alan's course and passed it and got my CW with him. And then after that, I went to the VE a little bit later, and because you had to go to a VE to get your 13 or 20 words a minute, so I went over there. Yeah, but all those guys, man, there was a ton of them. Slim too. We'll get together. We need to go have ice cream, and we'll talk about all these fellas that started this stuff.
I know a place.
Well, right on, Kevin. We're approaching our 2-hour mark.
You know what? I'm ready to go. I got to call my kids back.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming out to the monthly Vaca Valley Radio Club meeting. Yeah, if you're interested, get a pie, or maybe you already have a pie, and we're going to do some pie building very soon.
We have apple pie.
They send out where we order it and what we should order, or we can make a group order and write one check if you want to do it.
All right, I'll lean on Mike for that.
We have the credit card number, Paul or Don. We'll take care of it.
We'll send it out to the club email.
Yeah.
All right, very good, guys. Well, I'm going to hang up the phone here. Have a good night, 7-3.
Nice to see all.
Night, all.
And we'll catch you on the air.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one.
All right.
Nice seeing everybody. Take
Good
care.
night, everyone.
Get better, Art.